Hey y'all, welcome back to the Mama and Minnie Show. Today we're going to be talking about pregnancy and childbirth during this crazy epidemic time. So as everyone I'm sure is 100% aware, coronavirus has nations shutting down, things going crazy, and we're all basically on lockdown, and if you're not yet, you probably will be on stay-at-home order soon. As a mom right now, I have extra anxiety about this time because obviously corona is deadly. And I do not want Iman to get it, obviously. But I also feel for moms at this time who are pregnant, who are about to deliver or deliver in the next few months, because that is another level of stress. So I've been researching, and here's just some quick things I've learned that's helpful for new moms and soon-to-be moms to know during this time. First of all, breastfeeding while you have the virus is okay. You cannot pass on the virus through breastfeeding. Of course, if you're sick with coronavirus and you want to breastfeed, you should definitely wear a mask, and you should limit the contact you have with your baby outside of breastfeeding, but you cannot pass coronavirus on through breast milk or through breastfeeding. I would suggest pumping if you can and letting someone else feed the baby your breast milk. But like I said, if you do have to actually breastfeed, just try and get a mask and try to keep those germs off the baby. The respiratory issues caused by coronavirus can be not only deadly to infants whose immune systems are not that strong yet, but also they can be a hassle for pregnant moms. As you know, during pregnancy, you're already short of breath, so you don't want any more respiratory issues, and especially when you're about to deliver, because that can cause complications with the childbirth. Good news, though, is that studies show that the chance of transmitting coronavirus disease through childbirth is very low, although there have not been extensive studies on this yet. So the best bet is to do whatever you can do in your power to not contract the virus. That would be great. But the good news is, like I said, the few studies they have done, they haven't shown any major trends in having your baby contract coronavirus just because you deliver and you haven't. However, moms who have had coronavirus and delivered successfully, there is a chance that they're placed in quarantine away from their baby for the first 14 days because, like I said, babies' immune systems are very weak when they first are introduced to the world. So the best way to not catch the virus, I know all of my wonderful subscribers who are staying at home, social distancing, because that is the thing that makes most sense right now, especially for pregnant women, to not catch this virus. If you can, please make sure you're staying at home. If you're going outside for walks and stuff, that's great. Make sure you're social distancing, staying at least 6 feet away from people who you don't live with. So, as you can imagine, a lot of hospitals are overwhelmed right now because they're being filled with people who are experiencing this sickness. Many doctors are doing phone calls instead of appointments now. While it is both to free up the doctors so that they can help with coronavirus demands, and also to protect the women who are pregnant, who don't have to come into the hospitals and come into contact, hopefully, with these germs, it still is kind of daunting, because I know when I was pregnant with Iman, I used to feel real comfort in being able to go to the doctor and have him check me out and make sure everything was right and on track. But please utilize those resources and still contact your doctor if anything seems amiss to you. It's better to be safe than sorry, so if you feel like something's not right, call your doctor. If you have to, go to your doctor, because you want to make sure that everything's still on track. And like I said, many hospitals are overwhelmed, and this can be really scary when you're delivering soon and you maybe don't even want to go to the hospital because they have coronavirus patients there, and 2, you're not sure about the standard of care you'll get because many of our doctors and nurses are overworked, and there's more cases than they can take on by themselves right now. So, alternative things to look at if your due date is coming up. Birth houses are an option. Many birth houses are remaining open. They're taking precautions to try to guard against coronavirus. They're taking less patients at a time. They already have good cleaning schedules and everything, but they have stricter cleaning procedures during this time. If you can, if your Medicare or your insurance will cover it, I would suggest looking into birth houses because they have good track records. They take into account your personal preferences while giving birth, and they aren't hospitals, so they don't have the influx of patients who are sick coming in. if you're really worried about those germs. Many people are also turning to home births during this time, which can also be a great and wonderful experience. My suggestion for home births is, if that's what you want to do, then just make sure you do your research, make sure you have a medical professional on hand, and make sure you have a contingency plan for if something were to go wrong. How would you get to the hospital? Would that care be set up for you, and would you be able to quickly get to it? Many people deliver home births all the time and it's fine, so that's great. I actually, hopefully in the future, would like to do one. Just make sure that you have all your bases covered, and to make sure that if anything does go wrong and you do need to get to a hospital, then you can get there quickly and you can get seen and taken care of. And for my moms who are still going to deliver in a hospital, I'm just going to share some things from my experience and some that hopefully help you out during this time. When packing your hospital bag, there's a few things to make sure that you have. If you're like me, you overpack. In our room, we had so much extra stuff. Al even snuck in a TV monitor and his PlayStation because he wanted to play the game. I'm not that bad, but here's a couple of essentials to have in your hospital bag. First of all, comfy clothes. You're going to be very uncomfortable a lot of the time in the hospitals. That's just the bottom line. They have you strapped to the bed. They have you hooked up to the wires, monitoring you. And after you deliver, of course, you're going to be very uncomfortable. So make sure you have very comfortable clothing, shorts, t-shirts, things like that. Also, warm clothes for the baby. In the hospital, after you deliver, you're probably going to be there for about 48 hours. If you get induced, 72 hours, or if you had a C-section, 72 hours. So you want to have warm clothes for you and the baby, stuff that you could be comfortable in. I also, just a personal preference, like to have my iPad and my laptop charged up, ready to go. I got induced, so there was a lot of waiting going on when Al was playing his game. So it was good for me to have my iPad because I had my books on there, and my laptop because I could watch some shows, because that tiny hospital TV wasn't doing it. During this time, it's very important, if you can, get your hands on some hand sanitizer, some baby wipes. The hospitals normally separate floors for, people who are infected with coronavirus and people who aren't. But if you're like me, you just like to be extra safe, so you should have hand sanitizer, things like that on deck, and also disinfectant spray so that you can disinfect the room when you get there. Hospitals do a great job of disinfecting, but you can never be too safe. If you deliver vaginally, you might rip and tear when you give birth. When Iman came out, I was lucky. I only ripped my 1 inch, but a lot of people rip more, so I only got 1 stitch, but people sometimes need to get stitched back up, or sometimes the doctor makes little cuts so that you don't rip. Afterwards, you're going to be bleeding very, very heavily, and you won't be able to wipe yourself if you ripped and got stitches. So some things they give you are hydrocortisone, witch hazel pads, mesh underwear, and really, really big sanitary pads. These things are all things that you can get on Amazon. I will be linking them below. They also give them to you at the hospital, but like I said, we're not sure how stressed and under pressure these doctors and nurses are. We don't know what medical supplies are looking like right now, so I say better safe than sorry, and if you can pick up a couple of these things before you go into labor, I think it would probably be really helpful during these times. So I will link links to those below. You're gonna need all of those for after you give birth, when you're bleeding and you can't really wipe when you go to the bathroom. The witch hazel and the hydrocortisone especially are important, because for me, with the stitch and everything, and that gave me a lot of relief. It's kind of painful, and those two things gave me a lot of physical relief after I had Iman. So the mesh underwear is your friend. When they first showed me the mesh underwear, I'm like, I think we're being a bit dramatic. I don't need these ginormous sanitary pads and mesh underwear, but I did. I did need them. They're a lifesaver, and you definitely want the disposable underwear when you're going through this, because you go through them. Another option, if you can afford it, is the Thinx underwear. I will link those below too, but basically the menstrual underwear, I think that's a great invention, especially for postpartum moms, because it's just, you don't even have to worry about switching out pads and stuff like that. You just have the underwear. Also, make sure you have adequate body wash and toiletries. You'll be showering and stuff in the hospital. Another thing about hospitals right now is many hospitals are limiting visitors, if not shutting down maternity wards altogether. Sometimes maternity wards are getting turned into COVID-19 wards, and so you might have to even switch what hospital you're going to. So I would recommend, if your due date's coming up, contact the hospital and see what the procedures are. But also know that your birth plan might get changed. You might not be able to have all of your friends and family with you. You might only be able to have your partner or your doula, or sometimes even no one at all, which it really sucks. Some resources to look out for: there's lots of virtual doulas right now. There's lots of virtual lactation specialists and counselors and support groups. Those are all good things. Like I said, make sure you have the technology to communicate with your loved ones, where you could FaceTime them or call them, even if they're not in the hospital with you. There's always a silver lining to everything. Even though it really sucks to not be able to have all your family and friends with you, you also don't want your baby or you to be compromising your health because these people are there visiting you. As you know, COVID-19 is airborne, and it also, people can be asymptomatic. So it might be best not to have all your family and friends there. And you also don't want to expose your family and friends to the germs in the hospital. Finally, after you give birth to your baby, everyone's going to want to come see the baby, right? Be with the baby, touch the baby. Hopefully it won't be that bad, because hopefully your friends and family are following quarantine orders. But many people are not. And now is the most important time to put your foot down and be like, I love you, but you're not coming near my baby right now, because you don't want your baby to get sick. This is also easier said than done, because I know personally I have a hard time telling friends and family sometimes, like, no, I don't want you touching my child, I don't want you kissing on my child. But I even have to put my foot down now and say no more visitors, because this is very serious, and babies are susceptible to getting sick very easily. So you will have to put your foot down now and tell your friends and family, like, I will send you tons of cute pictures, but we're not doing any visits right now. So that's just something else to keep in mind. So yeah, I'm sending all of y'all good energy for having your babies, and I hope that everything goes well, and hopefully this virus is over for all of us soon, and they get a vaccine really soon. If you have questions about any of the resources or products I talked about, please feel free to reach out for me. Or if you just want to hear more about my experience or talk to me about your experience giving birth, please feel free to reach out. If you haven't yet, make sure you like and subscribe, and share with a friend, share with a new mom, share with a soon-to-be mom. I will see y'all next time, and thank you for tuning into our video.